Hey everybody. All right, we're live. What's going on? Hopefully everybody's having a good night. And I just want to check to make sure that everything is working smoothly. So resetmastery.com. All right. Resetmastery.com. All right. Okay. Looks like everything's going good. So, a lot of stuff coming up here. A lot of cool things that I've been working on. I got a sliver in my hand. I was actually cleaning one of my apartment buildings, and the new renter wanted it to be like immaculate. So I was scrubbing the cabinets, and I caught a sliver, and it went into the meat of my hand, and it's been getting red and building up pressure behind it. And I've been trying to pick at it. I can't get at it. I don't know what else to do. So hopefully it doesn't get infected and all of that stuff. And as I look at it, well, nonetheless, it's it doesn't apply to tonight. Nonetheless, again, this is the Q&A session. A couple of you guys have been reaching out to me. We kind of have a big personal question that I'm kind of excited to answer. And the second of all, the second question that we're really going to tackle into is procrastination. It's kind of something that affects everybody. And it's something I think we need to dive back into. And as you can see behind me, we will have the whiteboard ready to go. So that's it. So I just want to have a couple more minutes here before everybody else gets on. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for jumping on tonight. Appreciate you guys always taking the time. Truly, again, like I say in the podcast, you're investing time, education, knowledge into yourselves, and I appreciate that 110%. So thank you so much for diving into this tonight. Before we move forward into this tonight here, I kind of want to switch cameras real quick, and just to see how it works, because I can't really remember how the other camera works. Settings, here we go. Okay, I just want to get in the right position, so no need to freak out. What do you think of my sweet drawings, huh? Yeah, I'm pretty talented. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try to figure out the lighting here. I think that's good. Okay, cool. I'm gonna switch back over. All righty. So, any additional questions for this evening as of right now? Hello, everybody. Ashley, I got your question. Excited to answer it. Hopefully, there's some tidbits I can throw at you. You know, like anything, you know, this is my opinion on certain ideas, certain theories, certain philosophies. So again, take it for what it's worth. If it works, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. This applies for all the things that I discuss, not in just this webinar, but in the other webinars too. This is a general roadmap because obviously all of us are on a different road. And sometimes those obstacles are more intense or not, or there's distractions, all that stuff. So just take it for what it is, and hopefully the information I share with you can really support you in your journey. So with that being said, I'm going to dive into it. Everybody cool with that? Unless we have additional questions or anything like that, I think it's time to get the Q&A session underway. I got my water ready to rock and roll. And also, too, finalizing the design tonight, actually, on the T-shirt. And I'm excited because I will be doing something special for you guys here on the T-shirt. Again, this isn't the world's best T-shirt. I think the quality is going to be really good. The quality, the way it lays, it stretches, but it's kind of fitted. You know, it's a comfortable shirt. The design, I think, is very good. I think over time it'll progress into something even better. And I think that this is just a footstep in the right direction, because we're not going for excellence out of the gate. We're looking for just something. And I think that we're going to nail it on the head. So if we're ready to go, I'm going to drink my water here. Repeat after me. Oh, feels so good to stretch. I got the little guy sleeping. I can't yell it with you. I wish I could. Someday I will be in a new house, just like Ashley, and I can scream to the mountaintops, because that thing's gonna be insulated like a bomb shelter. But nonetheless, I'm freaking awesome. Yes. Thank you for joining me on that. I know they keep on saying it because it is ridiculous. Like, whoever just does this because, like, you're just laying there like, man, I could really just go for something awesome. And you're like, all right, yeah, I'm freaking awesome. And then, woo! You never do that on your own. Let's be serious. So I feel like I have to rally the troops here. But let's switch it over to the different camera, and we'll dive into the content for tonight. Boom. Here we go. It's a little cockeyed, if you may notice. I can't figure out how to fix that. I don't know if my floor is slanted. Yeah, I've been shimmying it up and whatever, so we'll just get going. All right, so we kind of have 3 different areas we're going to cover tonight. As you can see, I jazzed it up with some Post-it notes. But tonight, I kind of want to start off with a question about selling a home from Ashley. And Ashley's question goes like this. I would like some pointers on how to stay motivated on a goal I have little control over. It's selling my house, and I need somebody to buy it. And when I read this was an interesting question, because I've only bought things. I haven't really sold anything yet. So again, this is not coming from, I'm going to actually fix the camera just a touch here. Because as I see, actually, it's as simple as that. Ish. Okay. So again, I only bought things. I haven't sold anything. And understanding and being in real estate, I understand that there's a lot of that goes involved with selling a home, right? Especially to new buyers. They like your furniture. They hate your furniture. They like your the wall colors. They hate the wall colors. They like your kitchen, but they wish it was a little more modern, right? There's so many variations, because us as consumers, we want it just like we see it on the internet or on TV or from our friend's house, all those types of things. So when it comes to selling our house, it's very challenging too. And hopefully some of these ideas can get you moving in the right direction. Now, the meat of the question is, I want to stay motivated during this daunting task, right? And I think you hit it on the head. Like, how do you stay motivated and upbeat during selling a home when people are coming through? You have to clean the house, put away the dog toys, clean up everything every single time. That can be exhausting mentally, physically, and not only to yourself, but to the family. So going off your question, I want to kind of go over here actually, and these are the 3 ideas I want to start with. Number 1, the one thing that you said is that control. I have little control over. And in reality, in everything that we do in our personal lives, we actually do have more control than what we think. And so what I really want to make sure is that you understand that you own the control. You're in control of the whole process from start to finish. You're in control of cleaning it or not cleaning it. You're in control of hiring a real estate agent or not. And so to say that you're in little control is actually a false mindset, a false statement. And I want to make sure it's clear to you and you understand that maybe you need to get back into that frame of mind of, I am in control and I need to steer this ship to the right destination. And if that's jamming it in front of people or talking about it more, and we'll get into that in a minute here with my sweet drawing of my house. So that's step number 1, with kind of understanding that we're all in control of every single situation, even though we feel it's out of our grasp. For example, if you were to apply to a brand new company for a job interview, and you were to sit there and give them your best spiel, and you walk out of the room and you go, well, it's out of my control. They are going to do whatever they want to do. That's partly true, but if you were to rewind the tapes, you sitting there and going over the whole system and all those things you presented in that presentation, you're actually in control of. So an extreme example, if you were to just get done smoking and you're smoking inside the building and you just took a shot of whiskey in front of the interviewer, I would say that we all know the outcome of that. So the same kind of applies to the situation right now. Even though you don't think you're in control, you actually are in control more than you believe. The second idea is attitude. Now, if you remember from my SRS method, the self reset slap method, is that the 5 stages are gratitude, leadership, attitude, love, help, and then the POM is belief. And so be off of that, the middle finger is attitude, right? And so going through this, the emotional roller coaster that you have is the ups and the downs of the excitement. Somebody may put in an offer and somebody may not. You need to always make sure you're checking your attitude, right? You check it within yourself, you check it for the people around you. You're a reflection of the things that go on around you. You're a reflection to your family. And so if your attitude is poor, the other members in your family are also going to be poor. Now, just as a disclosure to everybody that's watching this right now, I'm using Ashley in the house as an example, but there are so many links and correlations between selling a house and also helping you personally. So take this context and wrap it into maybe your own personal life. So with that being said, attitude, again, you got to put that in check. And the reason why you kind of need to think of it like this: each day when you wake up, you need to think that you're sailing in, as I like to think, in Lake Michigan, because that's literally 10 miles away from me. But if you're sailing in the ocean, you need to make sure your keel, the keel is the thin board that goes down into the water, so your boat doesn't flip over or capsize one way or another. And each day that you wake up in this process of selling this home, you got to keep your attitude in check and making sure that keel is as deep as it can go, because depending on the day, it may be clear sailing in the morning, and then at night you got torrential storms pushing through. And if you don't have that keel down deep, that boat is going to flip capsize, and your attitude is going to be a hot mess, and you're going to be on this roller coaster. And so the last thing that I have is the prepare. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. And I talk about this in tomorrow's podcast, that actually I was working the other day, and there's an individual that got in a car accident. And she was holding a 1-year-old child, and there's 3 other adults. And I asked the adults, are they okay? And I saw the child, and I look in the car, and I realized that there was no car seat in the vehicle. And having 2 young kids myself, I nearly lost it. Well, where's your car seat? I asked them. And she goes, I don't have one. And in that moment, I wanted to strangle her and be like, are you kidding me? You don't have a car seat? In today's day and age where you can go to Walmart and buy them for $15, yeah, even though they're maybe not the most plush and elegant, they get the job done. And it just made me so irritated because they chose not to get a car seat. And I asked them, well, why don't you have a car seat? And their response was, because I never thought that I would get in a car accident. I never thought I would get into a car accident. And when she said that, it still boggled my mind. But thinking about this and preparing, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Yeah, nobody buys a car seat because we're like, I'm going to go in a demolition derby and I got to make sure my kid's safe in the back seat when I'm taking them around. We always prepare for the worst case scenario. And so how does this apply to the house scenario is that you need to prepare for the highs and lows that happen, right? You need to know that's to be expected. You need to zig and zag and those moments of, oh my gosh, this could be the money we want, the people that we want to move on into the neighborhood. We want everything. It's hitting your check boxes. Sometimes you need to realize that it could fall out, right? The bottom could drop out and the thing doesn't work. So you need to prepare your mind knowing that, okay, this may go really well, but I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to understand that, you know what, I'm not going to get overly excited, because sometimes things are out of my control. I did the best I could by preparing the house, getting the best realtor, making sure I was hustling, going out there, talking about it all the freaking time. So with that being said, those are some of the 3 ideas to kind of not help you stay motivated, but make sure you get clarity through the process. So over here now, with my sweet little building, the story that I have related to real estate and selling and everything like that, I own a duplex on the east side of Milwaukee, and it was during my first year owning that duplex by a college campus. And if you don't know anything about renting to college students, is this: if you rent your unit in the summertime, you're golden. Before August 1st, you get renters in there, your house is going to be making a profit. if you rent your house after August 1st, chances of getting a student in there is slim to none. Knowing that, it was end of July, and I still had no renters in my unit, in my apartment building. And I was freaking out because it costs a lot of money to buy the building. It costs a lot to fix it up, all that stuff. And I remember sitting outside of my duplex on the steps going, my gosh, I need somebody in here. And I put an ad on Craigslist. I put an ad in the newspaper. I got an apartment agency to help, with the situation. But for some odd reason, nobody was coming in and renting. And so in that moment, I realized that I had to take control of the situation, And I literally got in my car and I started driving around and rolling down my window and asking college students that had, sheets of paper that were looking at addresses and checking them off and going in and meeting the owners. And I would go and drive past them and I would pull over, I would get out of the car, I would shake their hands, be like, hey, I got a place a couple blocks down, I would take you there, or you can walk there. And even I would go to open houses that were in the surrounding area. And as students would walk out, I would meet them outside and be like, hey, I'm Jake, I got this duplex a couple of houses down or whatever. And so I hustled for that. And call it lucky or call it just good timing, that day I was actually able to get somebody in there, and it was a huge victory for me. It wasn't the ideal money that I wanted or for the rent, but nonetheless, I got somebody in there. So how does this apply to you and making sure that you get the motivation? And instead of searching for that motivation, maybe you got to search for something else. Maybe that's a little more hustle that you need to bring forth and making sure that you are able to sell this. So a couple of the goals that I have for you is talk about it. Now, this applies to every single person that's watching this right now. It doesn't matter who you are, what it is that you want to talk about. In our society, we're a good society, right? So if you were to meet up with your old girlfriends or old friends, coworkers, relatives, birthday party, whatever it is, you go on in and you say, hey, Cousin Joe, how you been? And Cousin Joe is probably going to say, things are going real good, Jake. And Cousin Joe is going to be like, how you been? And I'm going to say, things are going good. We live in a good society. Because to bring up, oh, Joe, man, you wouldn't realize I got this house, I'm trying to sell it, I got all these issues, everything like that. And so what I'm trying to proclaim to you is that you need to freaking talk about it with everybody and tell them your remorse of, I'm not able to sell it. For some odd reason, I got a great house, I'm doing everything I can, it's not working out. And by you explaining the situation, telling people around you in your network, I guarantee it, that some people say, hey, you should call up this realtor, Susie Q. Susie Q is the #1 quickest selling real estate agent in Milwaukee. And she knocks it out of the park, and I give her her contact. And if by knowing me, she's going to deduct her fee by 2% or whatever it is. And so instead of going around and just saying, oh, how you been? Good, things are going good, the kids are good, all that stuff, let them know. They're like, oh, I'm really freaking out. You can say it in a very light, monotone way. I'm freaking out, trying to sell my house. It's really putting a lot of pressure on me. We're doing everything right, but it's just not working. And so by saying that, you're able to invest in the relationship that you have with that person and to pull them into your world. And hopefully they can use their Rolodex and go, selling a house, we sold a house, we did this, we tried that, or whatever. So either they have a connection, they have a tip, or maybe they have a different idea that you're not doing to make sure that you're selling your house. So is that motivation? Maybe they'll motivate you to think creatively. Maybe they'll motivate you to go outside of your normal system of what you're doing, because doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is called insanity. It's really called insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. With that talking, I was at a entrepreneur meetup at Marquette University, a very well-regarded university, and there was a student in the room who is starting this nonprofit, doing some great things. And I said, well, what's your #1 problem right now? And he said, what's my exit strategy? I just can't figure it out. And so during my interview process of them asking me questions, somebody asked, how you work through problems. And the one thing that I said is, I talk about it. I talk about all the time, and I use him as an example. I said, Dan over there has a startup. His big thing is exit strategy. And the one thing to do is to talk about it with your friends and family and relatives. And it may seem odd and awkward and not like the right place, right time, but there's always a time for new conversation. Because if you're engaging with somebody at a basketball game or at a charity or just meeting up at Starbucks or whatever, it's always worth opening up a little deeper. Because in our society, like I said, we're usually good, but in actuality, we're not. And maybe by you opening up, your friend, your relative, your cousin could open up too, and you actually start to create a bigger bond. So there's more to it than just talking about it. The second idea I have for you is creative thinking. Even though the sticky note kind of took out the CR, side note here. So dry erase board, right? I bought the high-end, probably the best markers, dry erase markers you can buy, the Expo dry erase brand. They're really good. I mean, they worked awesome. So I was at Walmart yesterday, and I decided to buy the dry erase Walmart brand things, and I thought, okay, they look good. They're probably made by the same company, good tip, all that stuff. They write like junk. Horrible. So, number one, don't buy the dry erase markers, total ripoff. And number two, you really do get what you pay for. So I realized that. So nonetheless, creative thinking. So obviously creative thinking, right? There's many ways to go about it. I want to share with you a story. Back in the 1960s, during the Olympics, every single Olympian, when they would do the high jump is when they have, I'm going to use a good marker here, when they have, the two poles, and then there's like a crossbar, and the runner kind of comes on in and jumps over it onto the big pad. That's horrible drawing. That's a very poor drawing. But nonetheless, the high jump, where today, people jump over it backwards. Well, back before 1960, people would run at that bar and jump over it like forward, like do the springboard and jump over it forward and land on their back. It wasn't until about 1962, Fosbury, I want to say Dick Fosbury, Dick or Don Fosbury, it doesn't matter, decided to look at the high jump in a different way through different pair of glasses. And he started creating and starting to attempt this high jump in so many creative, weird ways that people thought he was absolutely nuts. Until the 1964 Olympics, when Mr. Fosbury brought out his Fosbury flop, as they call it nowadays, where he runs at the high jump and he kind of like jumps with one leg and arches over backwards. So uses his back to get over the pole, as opposed to before where the pole would be here and you kind of jump over, you tumble over it. And people thought he was absolutely nuts because they saw him in warm-ups. Like, what the heck is that? That's radical. That's ridiculous. That's so dumb. And then when top competition came, guess who won the gold medal? Fosbury. And to this day, it's called the Fosbury flop. And as if you see the Olympics today, if you're a big Olympian or not, still today, people are running at the high jump and bending over and jumping over backwards, because Fosbury realized that by running at a high jump and jumping over it forward, you're only maxed out so much, because it was the max height was like 5'10" or something like that. That's as high as people could jump at that time. But by jumping and projecting your body in a different torque method, you're able to get a couple more inches, couple more feet out of it. And so what I'm saying to you is that you need to have a creative thinking. You need to look at the scenario of what you're doing and seeing how can you improve upon it and how can you change it up. What is working, what isn't working? What do you think that you absolutely love? But maybe come on in with a different set of glasses and realize, maybe other people don't love this nude photo of me on the mantle. I'm just saying, it's just an example. If you have that, that's totally fine too. I'm not here to judge. But you know what I mean? You have to kind of get outside of your own brain and think of it from a totally different point of view. Again, this can apply to not only selling a house, this can apply to losing weight, this can apply to creating your new business plan, this can apply to making sure that you're staying on track. The things that kind of get in our way, how can we look at it a different way, a different angle to see, does this work or doesn't this work? And so that's my suggestion to you. Again, going back to your question, Don't look at it as for motivation to get pumped up. Look at it of creative thinking, of using that energy instead of just trying to amp yourself up. Put it towards something. Put that energy into something and try to change it up to get a different outcome. And the last idea is success leaves clues. I talk about this all the time. Success leaves clues. Go online, look at Bravo TV. What do they do to set up their house? Get in contact with a like one of those model home preppers. How do they dress their home? Look at their photos online, get in contact, and maybe just do a free consultation. See what suggestions they have. Because truly, if you want to sell a house, people have sold houses around the world. I mean, billions of houses have been sold. So what you're trying to do is not something totally crazy. There's other people that have done it. So find the people, successful people in your maybe local area or online or on TV or whatever. See what they're doing. Apply to your sweet brown house with the cool bushes and see what happens out of it. So those are my 3 different ideas, along with you are in full control, even though you don't think you're in control. Check your attitude and make sure you're prepared for the ups and downs, the zig and the zag of trying to sell this home, because it's a daunting task. So hopefully that answers your questions, and also too that hopefully that provided some added value into the other individuals who are not selling a home right now, to kind of think of the hiccup or the issue that they have in their own current life, and to assist you in getting over it. Okay, I'm gonna get a glass of water. The second idea here, any questions off of that? That's some serious hustle. Yeah, it was some serious hustle. But I tell you what, desperate times call from some desperate needs. And when I was in my car driving around campus, there was this was so funny. I have a yellow truck, and so I remember like it was yesterday. I was driving. There was a group of 3 girls and a mom, and they're walking around and they hand their sheet of paper and they're like, okay, 2952, cool. All right, let's go on in here. And as they came on out, I was in my truck because I was on the phone with a different tenant. I remember like as soon as they walked on out, these 3 ladies and the mom, I put down my phone. I was like, hey, you guys looking for a place to rent? And they're like, yeah. Like, cool, come in my car. Come in my car and let's go. I got a place a couple blocks out. And mom's like, no. So I got out of the car. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I was on the phone. But nonetheless, I gave them a flyer and they actually walked by. They didn't rent from me, but it was truly a hustle moment. And in that moment, I wasn't self-confident or lacking self-confidence. I wasn't scared. I wasn't like worried about rejection, because I literally had to get somebody in there. I was panicking. And Ashley, I don't know how bad your situation is. Maybe it's kind of like it'd be nice to sell it just to get it off of my mind. Or you're like in a hardcore like panic mode and you're like, I don't know what to do. I need, different ideas. Think of this, talk about it. Creative thinking, success leaves clues. And then also too, go out there and hustle. Print out flyers, go to local churches, grade schools, kid care centers, grocery stores, anywhere that people congregate that are in that area, and push it. Do open houses on your own, Facebook, do all those social media platforms, whatever. Go out there and hustle. I don't know how bad it is, but if you really need to get rid of this house, like immediately, maybe you're balancing 2 mortgages, the only way to do it is to go beyond your normal limit. And nobody is ever going to look down upon you because you're trying to hustle and you're trying to do something for your family. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to pay those 2 mortgages, right? It's all on you, your family, and that can be stressful. So it depends on how bad it is, how bad that hustle is, will determine how incredible your level of outgoingness, that's not even a word, but how comfortable you feel of pushing yourself out there will get the results. So any other questions? It does, thanks. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad it helped, Ashley. Very good, very good. I'm gonna drink some water from Roundy's brand, which is a local store brand water. And so I'll get to that in a second here. So my brother-in-law owns a wine company. His family does, many generations ago. And he's into taking wine that is taken from other realtors, like, or not realtors, other companies. So for example, Yellowtail wine, I think, is a national company. It's a very popular brand. Well, Yellowtail is actually buying that wine from other high-end winemakers, quote unquote high-end winemakers, and just relabeling them. They're in the same factory, they're out of the same vats, out of the same wooden kegs, all that stuff. All they're doing is pouring them into a different bottle with a different label. And so that's called private labeling, labeling for a private company, private organization, whatever. So water. Now, Roundy's Water, I live here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Aquafina is up in Wisconsin, and they have a huge, like 20-inch main that sucks tons and tons of millions of gallons of water out of Lake Michigan, filters it, adds, takes out the nutrients, adds some nutrients, and whatever. And so Roundy's private label gets their water from Aquafina. So I'm drinking Aquafina water at a discounted rate. So for you, I don't know what I'm trying to get to, a tidbit. Don't be afraid to get the store brand food items because they're just as good. The quality is just as good. They're just as safe, and they're just as cheap. Which brings me back to my last item here of Expo versus Dry Erase. I thought this was just a private label. I realized that this was privately junk that they just sold me. So I'm very disappointed. So it was worth buying the higher end markers. You live and you learn. I don't know. Okay. All right. So the next thing is procrastination. Okay. Procrastination is something that we deal with all the time. I mean, geez, I could do, a 15-week seminar on procrastination. I could read every single book in procrastination. Wow, if you could say that 10 times. And so this, what I'm breaking down, is very simple, right? The simple things kind of allow us to get back to our fundamentals. And once we get back to our fundamentals, we're able to slowly succeed. Okay, we're not looking for the newest cutting edge ideas and techniques. We're looking for the things that work, right? So with that being said, this affects everybody. This was a general question I got. Hey, help me with this or that. I'm lacking in these areas. Hopefully this will get you back on track. Procrastination. Number one. So this is kind of the outlay of how you should set up your objectives for the days. You can call them goals, objectives, things to do, checklists, 3 ideas to get you moving. And I know last webinar for Q&A, I kind of gave you a breakdown of making sure you have 3 big things that you want to accomplish for the day. But this is more isolated into individual specific tasks that you need to accomplish, maybe for your work, for your business, or just for your daily life. So the first thing is, I do, what was the example that I have? I do paperwork. We'll just say paperwork. I'm gonna use a bad marker here. See, look at this. Look at this marker. It's horrible. This thing, horrible. Okay, we're just gonna say I do paperwork for my job. As simple as that. It doesn't matter if you're self-employed or you're employed by a company. You do paperwork at some point of your day in being alive. Okay. The second thing is when do you do this paperwork? Okay, well, the first thing I do when I get into work, I say hi to my coworkers, I grab my coffee, and I sit down at my desk, and I usually start my paperwork around 9, because at 8 I do my email check, and that takes an hour, and I catch up on phone calls. So we do it when? 9 a.m. at work. Boom. Okay, so that's when we do it. Okay, this is just, again, a checklist to make sure that we're going down a process here. Third, where do we do this paperwork? Not just, well, I do it at work, but where exactly? Do I do it at my cubicle? Do I do it in the general meeting office? Do I do it in the little cafeteria that we have? Where is it specifically that you do this work? Being very clear, methodical in the actions that you do to make sure that you do the job, the paperwork, at 9 a.m. Where do you do it? For example, we're going to say we'll do cubicle. Okay. Next, what is the material equipment that you are going to need to make sure that you get this job done? Okay. So again, we kind of have this thing of we need to do paperwork. I do it at my job. When? At 9 a.m. at work. Where do I do it? I do it at the cubicle, and the materials and equipment I need is a pencil. I need my paperwork. I need to stay organized, all those types of things. So, okay, so we kind of understand that we need pen and material. Okay, we all know what that is for general stuff. And the last thing is arrangements and preparation. Do you need to set up arrangements for this? Do you need to shut down the internet? Do you need to shut down your phone? What time of preparation do you need? Do you need to prep for this? Is this a meeting? Is this a big activity that's going to call a lot of effort on you? Do you need to be refreshed? Can this wait in the morning, or does this have to be done at night? What is it exactly that you need to make sure that arrangements and preparations will be completed and or organized in a fashion that so you can get your paperwork done at your job? Now, the reason why I went over this is because I think this is a nice flow pattern. And I know last time I kind of broke it down into 3 big ideas, and then we kind of, set down the ideas and the context and, what are the 5 things that you need to do. This is more specific. So last time was like a really good framework. And then now this is where we input kind of the more of the specific tasks. I do, what is it that I need to do? Being very clear on that, of course. That when do I need to accomplish this by? 9 a.m., 2 o'clock in the p.m., whatever. Where am I going to do this? Be very clear. I'm going to do this in my basement. I'm going to do this upstairs. Am I going to do this at a coffee shop? Be very, very clear on where you're going to do it, the materials and equipment that you are going to need to make sure that you accomplish these tasks, and what are the arrangements or preparations that you're going to need to do, not only for yourself, but maybe prep to other people. Maybe it's an interview. Maybe you have to get in contact and make sure they show up. So this is more of a systematical approach, a more detail-oriented approach to making sure that you're not procrastinating and you're actually doing, all right? So write this stuff down if this applies to you. Some of you needed this more than others. This is just more a detailed-oriented, because some of us are left brain and some of us are right brain, and some of us get it and some of us don't. And sometimes I see things and it connects, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's just the way we learn as individuals. We learn as people. And sometimes you need to break it down a little bit further, and hopefully this helps. Again, I do when, or I do what, when, at what time, where am I doing it at, materials, equipment I need, arrangements or preparation to make sure that it will succeed. And this could go really well for like maybe a meeting that's outside of your normal area or whatever. Fill in the blank. I don't want to get caught up in that. So back to blocking. Blocking, we talk about this all the time. Well, we do, because again, it needs to be said. And going back, again, getting a cheap marker, success leaves clues. Oh, that one works. Success leaves clues. Again, blocking is seriously every single magazine, book, entrepreneur.com, anything that you read, blocking is the key to success. If you're not blocking your time is just whittling through your hands. It's like holding on to sand. If you hold that sand and you grab it, all that sand is going to spit out. But if you cup your sand and you're able to cup it for around 15, 20, 90 minutes, it's easier to cup sand as opposed to just squeezing sand for that amount of time. Because if you squeeze it, it's just going to come out of your hands, right? So you need to cup it. Just be relaxed for that 20 or 25 or 90 minutes. So with that being said, I'm a big fan of the 20-minute mark. This marker is horrible. 20 minutes. Why 20 minutes? Well, when I was studying for my lieutenant's exam, I realized that I'm a very anxious person. I was diagnosed with ADHD in the 3rd grade. And so I kind of been fighting this. And I realized that after being out of school and then trying to restudy again, it was very challenging for me. So I decided to take out my iPhone and to set my timer for literally, I think the first time I did was like for 60 minutes. There was no way it was going to happen. So I whittled it down from 60 minutes to half an hour to around 15 minutes to 10 minutes. And then I was at 5-minute chunks, like 5-minute intensive. I'm going to pound this out, dial it out. After 5 minutes, my alarm goes off. I relax and I just kind of step away. I built it up to around 20 minutes. Personally, for me, 20 minutes is my optimal time that I'm able to engage in something that doesn't pull me in and get me into my flow state. And that really assists me. For you, maybe 7 minutes. For others, maybe 45 minutes, whatever it is. This quick suggestion again, take out your iPhone, put it into, or your smartphone, put it into airplane mode, disconnect from everything around you, and dive really deep into the task at hand. If your task needs internet and stuff like that, well, you have to be very, very aware of your surroundings so you don't get too detailed. So Some of you are like, well, Jake, that's really good, but I need more. I need a little bit more. Give me more of a technique, more of a style that I can use in my life. All right. So the 25-minute technique, it's called the Pomodoro. Pomodoro. Pomodro. Pomodoro. Pomodoro technique is basically, I don't know the real history on it, but nonetheless, a Pomodoro is a tomato, is a small little tomato. And this guy decided that things should be broken up into blocks. And instead of doing 20-minute blocks, he decided to do it in 25-minute blocks. So he created a tomato that was in he created a timer that was in the shape of a tomato. And so you can wind that tomato up for 25 minutes. And you set it on your table, and once that timer goes off, ding, time to get up and walk away. Pomodoro technique. There's a book on it, there's timers on it, there's like a massive following on it, and it's really interesting, and some people really like locked in. So the question is, well, Jake, I got this big to-do list. I want to write, I want to write a book, or I want to do a big task. It's going to take more than 25 minutes. How can I go about that? Well, the great thing about the Pomodoro technique is that they talk a lot about preparation and making sure, okay, if I want to build a keynote presentation on PowerPoint, how long is that going to take me? Well, considering I've never done one before, and it's a 2-hour presentation, it's probably going to take 6 hours, maybe, depending on who you are, maybe more, maybe less. So then they go, okay, well, 6 hours, divide that into 25-minute chunks. And I'm not going to do the math because I don't, you got to convert, whatever, it doesn't matter. Convert it into 25-minute blocks. So for maybe the task of 6 hours, it's going to take 15 Pomodoros, 15 and a half Pomodoros, whatever it is. And you can write out these Pomodoros and put like circles on the top of your page. And after you crank up the Pomodoro, set it on your table, and it dings, and you get up and walk away, you can cross one Pomodoro off. And then you know you got 15 more, or whatever the progression is for you. So utilizing block timing is really key. This is more of a practical, tactical way. I believe that all of us have enough willpower and enough internal oomph to make sure that we're doing a blocked time. And so it's up to you. I'm not selling anything. I'm just giving you more options, more tools in the toolbox, if you want to say. So that's the Pomodoro technique, and also to the flow path for making sure that you're not procrastinating. And so there was a couple of tidbits that I wrote down. These were not my ideas. A lot of professionals. This was really interesting. When I heard this, it kind of took a knife into my heart a little bit, because this is kind of my wheelhouse. Individual said that inspiration is for amateurs, and that pros just go to work. So I don't know. Some of us need inspiration. I think that's a little more intuitive than just saying go to work, because in reality, we're all professionals. It doesn't matter what level we're at. It's just like the last podcast when I talked about making sure you get adequate sleep, because in reality, we're all professional athletes. It's either you believe it or you don't. And I really believe that we all are. We're all at our high level. What's the difference between a high achieving athlete and ourselves? Well, okay, maybe they put more time into that craft, but that doesn't mean necessarily you could not invest the same amount of time and just be maybe at or below or above that level. All of us are high-end athletes. So hearing that statement that inspiration is for amateurs and professionals just do it or just go at it, I don't know. I think that's kind of silly, but it's a different way of looking at it, and that's sometimes you need to do. You need to look at it with a different set of glasses, and hopefully it can open your eyes or open your doors to different things inside your brain. So block booking, really key. The last technique here is, I didn't even put a post-it note over it, darn it. It is if, then. If, then. All right. If I need to go to work, or actually I'm going to die down. If I need to go to work out at the gym, if I was more organized with my markers. So if I need to go to the gym, then I would need to wake up at 6 a.m., shoes, clothes, badge thing, blah, blah, blah. So if you need to go to the gym, then you need to make sure that you got to wake up at 6 a.m. You put on your shorts and your clothes, you get your badge, your ID, all that stuff. And so the question is right here in the middle is what is standing in between the if and the then, right? We all know that. Just like procrastination, what is it that we want to accomplish for the day or the week, the month, the year? Lose 10 pounds, start a new business, just become a better individual, be more fulfilled at work, go into work with a clear mindset. Knowing that if I go into work or if I go to the gym, then I need to do these things. We all get that, right? But the problem lies within the middle here, this kryptonite. As some people call it, or the holes in the boat, whatever analogy you want to use. But what is that thing that gets in the way of you getting from if, then? And so the thing you got to think about is, okay, what is that kryptonite? For some of us, it's social media. Some of us, it's snoozing. Some of us, it's not feeling just good. We feel ill in the morning if we were to go to the gym. So the thing is not, we all know the tactical stuff. We know we want to go to the gym. We all know what we need to do to get to the gym. The thing is, though, we need to start thinking about is this darn kryptonite that stands as literally the roadblock in between the two. So instead of figuring out and focusing all that energy on, okay, then I gotta wake up at 6 so then I can get going by 6:15, and then I gotta get my protein shake, and then I gotta go to work, and then shower, and then shave, blah, 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 all that stuff. You need to think of what is the kryptonite that will basically put a huge roadblock in your gym routine here, right? What is that thing that's really going to separate you getting to that end result? And so maybe you need to start writing down those kryptonite things. Maybe it's you wake up late or you press snooze when you don't even know it. So maybe you got to take your cell phone, put it in a different room. Maybe you hate looking for your gym shoes in the morning. It takes forever. We'll organize it the night before. Maybe you just feel sick in the morning. You're not able to get going because you're just like, oh, my stomach hurts and I just have cramps or whatever. Well, then maybe we need to start reflecting and seeing what are you eating the day before that's making you feel this way. So the real secret is not just getting the tactile stuff like, okay, I need to do A, which will get me to B. We really need to think of what is that stuff that's really going to separate us, this kryptonite right here that is really going to throw the wrench in our system. Because all of us know where we want to go. I mean, that's very easy. I know where I want to go. There's a lot of us in this group that are really very clear on all that stuff. But the thing that I want to make sure that we're also understanding is what the heck is that stuff that's standing in the way from allowing us to get from point A to point B. And we identify, we know it, but we usually don't bring it up as much as we should. We don't identify it for what it is. And so maybe it's time that we really start to sit down and write out what are those things that are going to put a roadblock in our day? What are those things that are going to throw us off? Because in reality, it's really fun to imagine a perfect day. As we all know, myself included, perfect days are very hard to come by. Perfect days aren't always perfect. So we need to make sure that we identify the kryptonite and allow us to make sure that we're doing these things and understanding the roadblocks that could happen from getting from point A to point B. So hopefully that assists you in your procrastination and also getting through those hurdles and obstacles. We are at end of month 2. And so some of us are doing really good. Like we're on a good pace, we're understanding, we're getting better. And some of us shot out of this cannon like a brand new person. We're like, we're gonna do it, I'm Superman. And then we're starting to deflate and the wheels are starting to fall off a little bit. Maybe not fall off, but they're starting to squeak, right? And so what I can say to you is that we need to get back to our fundamentals, right? The fundamentals are self-belief, willpower, understand procrastination, understanding our goals, reflecting on our goals every single day, the storybook method, and making sure we're going through those things. The easy things to do are also easy not to do. And going back to the philosophy here of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, maybe it's time that you realize this is maybe your self-awareness time of understanding, okay, I'm starting to get back into the same dip that I had last year. I'm surrounded by some great individuals. The masterminds are going good. I'm connecting with some cool people. I'm getting some decent information. But why is it that I'm starting to dip again? And instead of just going, well, this is the type of person I am, and I fall into this trap every single year, it's time for you to start identifying and looking at, okay, what is it that is going on? Is it my job? Is it maybe my job's getting really stressful, so my life is starting to fall off a little bit? Or maybe this is wintertime and I'm not getting that vitamin D. I'm not really that excitable anymore. Maybe I need to just, take some vitamin D supplements or to get out in nature a little bit more or whatever it is. This is maybe a time for identification as opposed to keep on pushing forward up and to the right, because that's where we all want to go, right? We all want to be on a steady path up and to the right. But as we know, we zig, we zag, we crash, we climax, and all those things in between. So maybe this is a moment for you. If you are struggling in this moment today, instead of thinking, well, I tried this program, it's just not working out. The things I told you, you already know. This isn't world groundbreaking information. I was just in a cave for 50 years doing case studies and research. This stuff works. It's fundamental. We all know about it. The question is, are you doing it? If you are doing it, then you need to look externally at the big picture. Step out of the picture and see what the heck is going on in my life. Why is it that I'm losing track again? Why is it that I'm just not excited anymore? And maybe that is more of the meat and potatoes, as you want to call it, than finding all this cool Pomodoro, creative thinking, Fosbury flop, interesting flat facts kind of thing. So maybe it's time you start really looking from within and externally to see where you are. So that kind of sums up our Q&A number 2. Hopefully that helps. Again, with some of these concepts, they may apply to you, they may not. Not a problem, right? I mean, we're a diverse group of individuals that are trying to achieve great things. So the problem is that it's very challenging just to isolate into one specific idea. But nonetheless, I think these concepts and ideas can really help all of us together. And the one thing that I want to share with you, another quick story, I share it in tomorrow's podcast, so that's why it's like fresh in my mind. And is this. We had a run where two individuals got into a clash, and they started attacking each other. They started fighting with each other. And one individual was very drunk, the other was not. The individual that was not drunk lunged at that guy, and he bit his ear, just like a Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield. And we're not talking like a little like a little nip or like teeth marks. We're literally talking like, I'm looking at myself, like a good half of his, I don't want to say half, but a good third of his ear was like off and like jagged, ripped, all that stuff. And we get there on scene, like, and I like, I'm looking at, like, we have like this tablet where I'm taking information. My guys are getting to him and looking at him, and my guys are like, whoa. And I look up from the tablet, like, oh, like I was like startled. It's like, oh my God, like what happened? And his ear was bleeding. There's not too much blood in your ear, actually. There's not too many blood vessels, so it wasn't bleeding. It was very red and irritated and stuff. And I said to the guy, I was like, man, we got to get you to the hospital. And he wasn't very drunk. He was drunk. And he goes, no, bro, I'm a hero. I'm a hero of me. And I'm like, so what? I was like, so you need to go to the hospital and get that thing sewed up. He goes, I'm a hero of me. I don't need to go to the hospital. I'm good. And I kept on pushing. I was like, you got to go. You got to go. You got to go. His wife was there. Wife was not drunk. She didn't want him to go. I don't know why, but we cannot. As working for the fire department, it doesn't matter what state you live in, we cannot force anybody to go to the hospital unless it was a life-threatening thing. If he got shot or bleeding out or cardiac issues, we can force them. But in the instance where it's just kind of cosmetic stuff, we cannot force anybody to go. So the wife came in, she said she doesn't want him to go, blah, 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 all this stuff. And so long story short, they didn't go, and not a problem. But the thing that I want to share with you is that he said something that was kind of funny, but yet unique, that I'm a hero and I'm a hero of me. And that's really good, right? I'm all about self-belief, right? We talk about that belief, that hope mentality, all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, is that there's no single person that's self-made. There is no one person that is just on this journey by themselves and they do it all, right? They battle through the barriers. They battle the kryptonite. They knock out their list of to-dos. They think of all these different creative ideas on their own, and they just go straight and narrow, and nothing stops them. And when he said that he's a hero of himself or hero of me, it made me think of, you're not.
nobody's a hero of just themselves. We all have a support group. We have loved ones behind us, or friends, or family, or a mastermind group, or some guy talking in his basement through a video camera to you. And is that we're all in this together, that we're really a big team that's moving forward together. And sometimes some of those team members fall out of the picture, but nonetheless, the core individuals stick together and they move forward. And so I want to relate to you in that there will be times where you really feel like you're on an island by yourself. You're like, what the heck? I'm just lonely. I don't get it. It's not working. I'm trying these techniques. It's not working. I'm trying to sell a house. It's not selling. You know, I'm doing this kryptonite. I understand that things are roadblocks, but it's not helping. So instead of just looking always for internal, make sure that we're always accessing the people that are around us, because no one person has gone and reached success, whatever that means for you, on their own. There's been coaches and mentors and family and friends and blogs and podcasts and videos and conferences and seminars, all those types of things to uplift us together and to move us forward as a group. And I guess maybe on a little bit of a tangent. So one more thing, and I think why personally the firewalking is so exciting to me is not because it's just for you individually, like you need to conquer this fire, and once you conquer it, it's victory. It's because it's like a big group thing. Like we're all chanting, we're all getting together, we're all uplifted, and there's nothing better than being in that group mentality, that pack mentality, that herd mentality of we can do this together, we can conquer anything. And I really wish that we could all of us could be sitting here in this room together and supporting each other and high-fiving each other and ripping on each other and getting at each other, but we can't. So the best thing that we can do is really support each other online. And I know that maybe this process was as good, or if not better, or maybe it wasn't as great as what you thought it was going to be. But I want to let you know and either ask you this question or make sure that you're doing it. Are you making the group better? Are you supporting each other along this journey? Because even though you have these issues and you feel like you're all alone, you're really not. All of us are dealing with the same stuff every single day, even myself. It's not just this one mentality, or what I share with you here is going to apply to you directly. It applies to the group. And so we need to make sure that we're uplifting each other, making sure we're helping each other out, because life is daunting at times. Life is challenging and irritating. And when you want to do something like sell a house or achieve great things, it wears you down. That's why you need to make sure that you have a good network around you. And if you don't know that network yet, and maybe the friends online are knocking out of the park, but you need somebody face to face, then we got to go explore, right? You got to go out there and you got to, I don't want to say hustle, but you got to go out there, meet connections, network, and see what you can help with these other people. Because there's more power, there's more energy and more charisma and more hope and belief in a group as opposed to one person just traveling along this crazy, crazy path. So that is all I have for you today. So hopefully that assists you. Hopefully that helps. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to stick around here, answer some questions. I'm going to change video screens back to the computer, and we'll go from there. So if you have additional questions, please let me know. I'm going to get a drink of water, and I'll wait for the additional questions to come on in. So hopefully that pours some value into you guys. Again, any additional questions, let me know. So I'll switch it over. Thanks.
All right, back. So that's it. So I'm going to look at some of the questions here. So that's it. I want to move to a warmer place so bad. Who doesn't? My gosh. I will say this winter up here in Milwaukee hasn't been too bad. I only had to use my snowblower once. So it's actually been pretty good. Tobias, what do you use for organization / scheduling? Well, that's a very good question. I use iCal. iCal is my #1 source. The bad thing about iCal, I don't know if it's just for me or if it's been assisting other people, sometimes it links to my phone, sometimes it doesn't, so that irritates me. So I may be going over to Google Calendar. I used to use them, but I don't. As for appointments and scheduling things, scheduleonce.com, I believe, yeah, scheduleonce.com. That is what I use for locking in times. And then for organization, you know, I really do preach what I say is that those 3 things from Brendon Burchard, I think I have the sheet, but no, I don't. Which is isolating the 3 things I want to accomplish for today, boiling them down on the top 5 things that I have to do. Who do I have to contact? Who do I have to recontact? It really helps me personally. I usually hit it. Do I hit it to a T? Do I knock it out of the park every single day? I don't. I'll be honest with you, because as we all know, scheduling and organizing things in your day is very, very chaotic. Like I say all the time, the 2 areas that we can control, the AM and the PM, and everything else in between is chaotic. So, I juggle a lot of my life, and I'm not saying I'm any busier than you guys, but, sometimes you just got to do what you need to do. One question that was asked recently at the Marquette kind of thing, the Marquette College, is one person asked me a really good question, and I think that this maybe can open up some doors. It's not only differentiates from the scheduling and organizing, but I want to say this is he asked me a question. He said, all great people that are on a path towards something have fears in their way. They have roadblocks. They have something that's irritating them beyond all belief. What are those things? And can you tell me 5 of them? I said, 5, what the fuck? So I sat there for a second. I was like, what is it? What is it that really, what is fearful for me, in this endeavor? And the one thing that I told him is the biggest thing that I think about all the time is that I'm not enough, that I'm not good enough. And time. I'm not saying this as like a poor me or sob story. I'm not saying this directly for me to you, like, oh, poor Jake. I'm saying this because I think that this applies to everybody that's listening in right now. And the one thing I said was, I'm not enough. I'm not the enough syndrome, right? We're not smart enough. We're not cool enough. We're not educated enough. We're not outgoing enough. Not enough energy. We don't have the right networking skills. All those kind of things. And I tell them all the time that I'm very aware of that. That I'm very aware that I'm not enough. But I also realize, though, too, that sometimes during our days and our weeks and our months, is that we need to understand that even though that we're not enough, we also have the ability to increase. So those things that I think that I'm not enough in doesn't mean that I'm like frozen, like I'm a glass of water outside. I'm frozen in time. I can actually grow. And sometimes when we get caught up in this mindset of like, I'm not enough, it's just not working, I just can't do it, it's just not coming together, oh, I got all these fears and daunting tasks and all that stuff. We have the ability as a human to advance ourselves and grow. And so sometimes in those moments we feel so stuck. But in actuality, we have the option. How do we do that? By doing what we're doing here, by reading great books, by networking, by looking through life through a different pair of glasses, like I keep on saying tonight. I think that's maybe my thing. But it's one of those things that we do have the option to grow. And I just want to make that aware to you guys and make sure that we all understand that anything that is challenging you right now in your life doesn't mean that you're frozen. Doesn't mean that this is who you are for the rest of your life. You have the opportunity to grow mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. We can all grow. And instead of feeling poor me and woe's me and, oh man, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda, think of it as, okay, this is my springboard. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. So hopefully that gives you some insight. Another fear that I spoke on was the enough thing, and I don't know what the second thing was, but I thought the first one was good enough that I had to share with you. So I'm going to answer some questions here. Okay, Aaron, good app to design your own to-do list. Trello, Trello. Awesome. That's a good app. Another app is To-Do. It's called just To-Do. They have a Lite. It's called To-Do Lite, which is the free one, or To-Do, which is the buy one. I struggle with apps on my phone, only because once the notification starts pumping through my phone, I open my phone to turn it off, which allows me to go into my email, and then it goes down this wormhole. I love technology. I love apps. I love the hottest gadgets. I know my limitations. I personally am not a big fan of doing to-do lists on apps. I'm actually a big to-do list on paper, as you can see. crinkled up paper. I'm a big physical guy. I like hands-on. Like I said, I got ADHD. I like to jot. I like to draw. I like to do crazy faces, and I really like to like scribble if things aren't going well. For me personally, again, that's all onto you. If you're into that world and that space, great. Utilize these apps that we're talking about here. Aaron, Google Calendar has a place that you can put reminders and integrate right into your schedule. It does. Google Calendars is like an all-star. Fortune 500 companies, universities, experts are all using Google Calendars as their thing. Like that is the creme de la creme. It's smooth. It works with everything. I have to sneeze. Back, excuse me. And so, yeah, Google Calendars is awesome. A little speaking technique, because I've been trying to improve my speaking, is that when you do have to sneeze or clear your throat or grab some water, is just to make it known. Like, I have to sneeze, I feel better, apologize, and carry on. Sometimes a lot of people like try to hold it in, and they're like rubbing their throat and stuff like that. If something is going on with you physically in front of other people, identify it, pause, try something to fix it, apologize for the fix, or just say, excuse me, and then move on with it. So that's a very technical way of dealing with it. And it's like, I know that. But sometimes we like feel very uncomfortable, like, oh, I'm gonna take a cold medicine or gum to chew on or something like that. Another fun fact, if we're on fun facts here, Indians, because back in the day, the water wasn't all over the place, like in a bottle, Indians would put stones in their mouth to release saliva, so they would always have a moist mouth if they were parched or whatever. For some odd reason, an object in your mouth makes you feel like you're digesting something, your digestive saliva will come up, try to use that. So if you're ever in a pinch and your mouth is so parched and you just can't talk, try putting a pebble in your mouth, don't swallow it, roll it around, you'll increase your saliva. Fun fact. Don't swallow it and choke on it, and then if you die, then you're gonna sue me because you told somebody that I told you to do it. Disclaimers, all that stuff, I'm out of it. But all right, so Google Calendars, thanks Aaron. Jake, one more thing, have you connected or outsourced and edited yet for your book? Funny you should say that. I have two really A-star, all-star editors for my book. I am not at the level to edit it yet, but I am in the process. I already have them lined up. Do you have a suggestion? Is that why you asked? But nonetheless, I do. For outsourcing too, you know my world. I'm a very chaotic individual. I have a lot of fires going on, not figuratively, but mentally. And so I do outsource a lot of my work. A big platform is called Elance, E-L-A-N-C-E. Another one is called Work. Elance is my number one thing, but there's like Elance has a partner called Workflow or something like that, Work On or whatever. And you may be thinking, well, Jake, I don't want to pay somebody to do my work. And that's totally fine. I will say this, that once you realize that somebody can help you with a task that A, you don't like doing, B, that's complicated, C, you have no idea how to do it, and D, would take you so long to learn that by the time you learn it, you're wasting all this time, it's maybe worthwhile for you to outsource. And maybe I could talk on that for a second. There's a lot of people that are always searching for work out there. So say, for example, we'll go on the lowest level here, that you have, you're doing good work at your normal job, but you're just overwhelmed with your emails. Like you just get bombarded with 100,000 emails, and you should organize your inbox on your Google email server, but you never have enough time. I know I need to do it, but it just takes too long to set up and to set up the categories and all that stuff. I just don't want to do it because I got to learn it and I got to do it, and I have so much, and it's just I 5,000 emails, and there's just no way. That would be a good start for you to look at Elance and to type in, to make a job posting, and to say, hey, I need somebody to assist me with my inbox in my Gmail account. I'm looking for creating 4 files, work, family, excitement, and trips. And if you could go through all my emails and put them into those folders, and if there's ones that are not in those folders, maybe you could put them off to the side, let me know, and then I could go in there manually and figure it out, but you could do 90% of the work. And from there, you can pay them per hour or per job. So maybe that job to you, instead of setting that up, is worth $80. I don't know. There's probably somebody out there that would do it for $80. Now, that sounds great. You're probably like, whoa, $80 to do all that work? The problem is these individuals, some of them are overclassified, some of them are not. You do need to put a little bit of legwork in and making sure that these people are legit. Maybe you could do a trial basis. Maybe they could organize the first 100 or whatever. You need to try them out before you just give them the your full wallet. And then now let's go on the main extreme. The extreme example would be that that you're looking for a physical trainer in your local area, and you want to find 10 extremely qualified physical trainers that hit your demographic, that will work with me 3 days a week, that will meet with me from hours of 1 to 3, that are into vegan and raw / protein-rich diets, that love working on biceps and glutes. I don't know, something like super uber specific. And instead of you searching through Google and you're wasting all your time, you're not working out or whatever, you can set up the parameters of exactly what you need. You can outsource it. Somebody can do all the legwork. They can search Google. They can search local listings, all that stuff. Isolate it down to these maybe 5 or 10 super qualified individuals, and then give it to you. And then you can just go through and go, oh, these are the top 5 best people in my area. Boom. The work is out of it. So I would suggest maybe if there's a need for it. Sometimes you kind of get caught up in outsourcing everything, and it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully that gives you some good insight there of outsourcing and seeing how you can use it to your advantage. Again, I'm not saying you need it. I'm just saying that there's advantages to it. There's also disadvantages. Disadvantages are that you're losing money. You're taking some time to investigate the people, making sure they're not going to take advantage of you. And also, too, you're taking time typing out your job posting, because the more clarity you have in your job posting, the better it will be for the individual to do it. As a disclaimer, Elance is a legit business, a legit company. If for some odd reason it doesn't work, if it's a scam, they will protect you. This is not a, you're just putting it out there to whoever. These people are legitimately qualified. They had to put in, they have to make an account, they have to get reviews, all that type of stuff. So I just want to let you know that that's available for you out there. Editor for the book. Oh, just wondering for myself. I can share some editors with you. I'll send you a message. So that's it. That's all I think we have time for today. I will stay on for another couple minutes and just see if you guys have any additional questions that I can solve for you. Anything else? Maybe next time, how would you guys like if I went over networking as like a bonus or something, networking? The reason why I say networking is because I'm going to be going out to California on Thursday, coming back Sunday for a big conference, a big seminar, and I'm really planning on utilizing some new networking techniques that I learned, and I want to see if they work, and to see if they'll assist me in making more connections, right? Because the more you give, the more you grow. But also along with that, I'm going to be around individuals that are in my wheelhouse, and so hopefully I can get better at that. And I think that's a skill that all of us should really improve upon. Agreed. Yeah, I agree with you. Networking would be great. Okay, well then. Right, checkbox. I'll do that. And I will be the case study. I will literally be the case study. So that's why this could actually be kind of fun and exciting of a case study here. I think that would be very helpful. Okay, I think we're all on board then. So I'm thinking like, well, what if it goes horribly wrong? Like, what if I don't have any connections at the end of this event? Well, then maybe I could. There's learning in that too, right? So it's not all just glory and I met X, Y, and Z, but I think that there's a lot of value there because this will be in person, and then also to the follow-up sequence of getting engaged with these people. after the fact, because when you're in that moment face to face, it's like, yeah, you're my best friend, and then we both go our own ways. I go to my family, they go to their family, and then it's like, oh, JK, he was a cool guy, but whatever. So I think there would be some value into that. Aaron, do you use or recommend meditation visual techniques? I have a hard time focusing on a single task at a time and looking for a way to stay centered and focused in the moment without having any other responsibilities occupying space in my head. I have a 9 to 5, my own business, right? Co-funding, right? I totally agree with you. The Pomodoro technique you discussed today should help. Meditation, visualization techniques. I think, well, the main technique is the storybook method, right? This bad boy, right? That I share with you. I think being very clear on that. If you read that every morning, every night, are you? Look how big mine is. Are you? That should really get you in the right frame of mind. If you are distracted, it's not because you lost the motivation, you just can't do it. It's because you choose to invest your time into something that's more stimulating than what you're currently doing. So, as opposed to saying a meditation or a visualizing technique, I'm all about the visualization, and I do that with my technique, right? I see myself walking through the steps. So, besides the meditation is very good. I think there's a lot of value to it. The thing that I want to share with you is putting ourselves in the right tone, right state. The reason why I do the I'm freaking awesome is not because it's funny and goofy or whatever, but legitly, I say this every freaking time, but hear me out. It puts you in the right frame of mind. It upbeats. It gets your heart pumping, your blood flowing, and when your body is moving, your brain is grooving. Legitly, seriously, all of that type of stuff. And also the reason why we do the power position obviously engages the body, engages oneself. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I want you to find, I call these flares. And I don't know if I ever said this before, but this is my thing. They're called flares. Flares are when you're in an emergency situation, your car breaks down on a busy expressway, it's dark out, your car broke down, you have nothing. Your flashing beacon on your car will signal some help, but to really get people's attention, to make sure that you're safe and make sure you're seen, and make sure that you're ready to like get help is that you take a flare, you pop off the cap, you flip it around, and you strike these flares. And these flares last between an hour or 6 hours, and you stick it in the ground, and it marks out. It's a very large, bright, very toxic flame that shoots out. And the reason why I call these flares is because when you are in those moments when you aren't focused and you're losing engagement and you're not really getting engaged, there's two things. Number one, you need to be freaking aware. You need to be aware of what the heck you're doing. If you catch yourself on CNET, which is my toxin, or Facebook, or something that pulls you away, or you're gaming on your phone, you need to be, number one, freaking aware of that stuff, because you need to stop that right now. I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys, and maybe this is a little too intense for some of you, but it's time to step it up a little bit. If we're doing the same thing over and over again, then you need to do this. Delete those game apps on your phone. Delete, the Facebook app on your computer. Shut down the internet. You need to start being in control as opposed to being pulled into a way. So you need to, first of all, be in control. Be aware of what the heck you're doing. The second thing is, along with that flare technique, is to find that video of music that just lights you up. That just lights you up. That you just like, you're just like a rocket getting launched into outer space. Is it a dance song? Is it a country song? Is it an emotional song? Is it a deep song? Is it a classical song that really resonates with you? Music is around us 24/7. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big music goer. I don't spend my money at country music and all that stuff. I spend my money in other ways, but the one thing that I love is really intense music that gets me fired up personally. And so when I go into my database, I have like 4 or 5 songs that I use to get myself elevated to the right state of mind. And when I play that music, not only am I listening to it, but I'm really feeling it. And when I'm feeling it, I'm also visualizing the future that I have for myself. I'm visualizing myself in front of stage, in front of a large audience, with my family there, and I imagine people are laughing and crying and high-fiving. I know I got a weird mind, but when I'm listening to this music, I'm really getting engaged. I'm really getting into it. I'm really getting fired up, and so that allows me to regain focus. Because not only is the music elevating my state,
but also too, getting back to the storybook method, utilizing what I wrote down to think of where I want to go, utilizing that energy just shoots me into outer space, and it really does. It helps me. And maybe it helps me for 15, 20 minutes, and then I need to listen to the same one again or listen to a different one. And so that personally helps me. So instead of looking for, well, gee, what is that thing? Well, meditation to calm me down, to keep me focused. It's not so much that. I'm more of a energetic, entertaining, uplifting person, and I need that higher state for me personally. There are some individuals that need that meditation. They need to sit there and calm down, take the deep breath, and all that stuff. I'm already very active. I'm already very psychotically organized, chaotic mess going on up here. I'd like to bring myself even higher, which even sounds more radical. And I remember when I was in the 3rd grade, and meeting with these psychologists, or psychiatrists, whatever. They would tell me these different techniques. When I would start to lose focus, they told me to press on my earlobes. And supposedly your earlobe has different nerves that run into your spine that activate different things. To the point of my dad learned this, that he took me to an acupuncturist. This is actually kind of a funny story. An acupuncturist that looked at my tongue. And if you ever gone to an acupuncture, they look at your tongue. The tongue is the only organ that they can see from the external that represents the internal, right? Okay, does that make sense? You stick on your tongue. Depending on the grooves, the dots, and the imperfections, tells a lot of what's going on internally, because our tongue sits internally to our body as opposed to externally. So this acupuncturist guy that only spoke in Chinese with his wife looked at the diagram, they looked at my tongue, they started feeling around for my ears and stuff. And long story short, but when we walked out of that office, I had 3 mini hold on. Here we go. 3 mini tacks inserted into my ears, one in the lobe, one in the middle, and one up here in this region. They were a lot smaller than this, but nonetheless, the needle was probably, I don't know, you can't even see, like 1/4 of the inch or whatever. And so they would tape it. They taped it with this new colored tape, nude colored tape, and they taped it in the 3 spots here, 3 spots here. And they told me that when I would lose focus, to squeeze these basically needles in my ear. Well, no crap. They would wake you up and go, holy shit, what the hell is going on? And when I'm squeezing it, I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, my eyes will be watering and all that stuff. And it was radical. And then the worst part is I go to school and I got all this stuff taped into my ears, and they go, oh, what's wrong with your ears? What do you have in there? You have stuff in your ears? And I'm like, yeah. And I told them I threw out my back. I'm in the 3rd grade. I threw out my back, and that's why I needed stuff in my ears. I didn't know what to say. I was really embarrassed. But I kept it in for a week. Did it help? Okay, put it this way. Take this, insert it into your ear, and when you're not paying attention, jam it into your head. Would it work? Shit. I think it would wake you up. It would wake you, it would startle the heck out of you. I don't know if it made me smarter or grasp anything, but it did wake me. It made me very aware of what was going on. I was aware that I was squeezing the heck out of my freaking ear that had a needle in it. And then the funny part is too, before we walked out of the acupuncturist, they gave me a whole bag of roots and leaves and stuff, and they told my dad how to steep it. And so my dad made this ancient remedy that I drank every morning and all that stuff. Did it work? I don't know. I was in the 3rd grade. I could barely remember this stuff. But I will say, when I do tweak my body, when I do throw myself out of alignment, when I do injure myself, I will use acupuncture as a remedy to realign things. I do believe in it. I think there is a lot of great things that come with acupuncture. And off of that, my mother has Parkinson's. And my mother, at first, she took the medication because that was the only thing you could do. Parkinson's is when you have the tremors. That's a neurological kind of response throughout the body where you have uncontrolled actions of oneself. And my mother took the medication right away. She was sick, depressed, ill, horrible. Absolutely a hot mess.
And it was very challenging when she started taking this medication, because when you take one medication, you got to take it for so long just to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then you got to rotate. And she was a hot mess, to the point of she was like hunched over 90 degrees, trembling hardcore in her hand and her ankle and her wrist and her knee. Very, very poor, very poor. And she then decided to start searching holistic approach, only because the Western medicine wasn't helping. It just wasn't helping for her. Some people it helped, some people didn't. For her, it didn't. So she started doing chiropractic and acupuncture care, and also massage care. And then she started doing like yoga and stuff like that, like slow body methodical movements. And I'm not saying this was a miracle, but she is now able to stand up straight. She doesn't have a walker. She does still have a tremor, but it has allowed her to get better. And is it because of acupuncture or I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you, but I'm saying that when things arise in our life, and I guess this comes back to personal development, it's worth trying everything. It's worth hearing new ideas. It's worth hearing new concepts. It's worth investment in certain things, because it opens your brain, opens your eyes to what's out there. And so hopefully that connects with you. So I don't know where I was going, but don't get slighted into them putting stuff into your ear. I don't know if it really works. It's just I don't know. I don't think it did. So that's it. So hopefully there's some value in that. I appreciate you guys, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. Love each and every one of you. That's all I really got. That's really much. That's all I have. If you have any additional questions, I'll sit on here for another couple minutes. I think this session was pretty good. A lot of good stories that came out of it that you pulled me out of, and I appreciate that. Reflecting back when I was a kid with those things in my ears, it kind of made me realize that, sometimes it's worth trying things that are weird in the moment, because they could have worked. Maybe they did work, I just chose not to. The placebo effect, right? I mean, we all know that. They give you a sugar pill and they give you a legit pill. And the people that took a sugar pill, they're fixed, they're cured, they're totally fine. And the people that took the real medication, sometimes it doesn't work. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying, do one thing or another. It's worth an opening of the mind. So I'm going to shut it down. Unless you guys have any additional questions, feel free to type them in right now. I will wait for another 2 minutes, and I'm going to drink my private labeled water. So hopefully you guys are drinking water too. So that's it. Thanks, Jake. Ashley, no problem. Good luck selling the house. I guess a question before you leave. Are you juggling 2 mortgages right now, or are you just trying to sell this house and then move into a new house? If you feel comfortable sharing on here. I don't know if you do. If you don't, that's totally fine too, and just don't even respond. Sorry for asking. I should have probably asked that in private. But I just would like to know, because that is very stressful. Very stressful if you have to juggle 2 mortgages. Nobody wishes upon that. So hopefully that's it. That's it. But speaking of moving houses, that's something that my wife and I are looking to do. We're looking into it, and oh man, house buying, that is quite the process. It's like you like the house, but then it doesn't have everything you need. But yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, the taxes are insane. It's like there's always something. It's always something. So that's all I have for you guys. But nonetheless, that's it. I love and support each and every one of you. We will catch you next time. I will give you results on the networking. I think it's going to be a really good one, because I will be the case study. I will share with you what I did and the results I got out of it, and a follow-up sequence and stuff like that. So it'll make me, this will be good, because I think it'll make me think of more ways to be more proactive this time around. So I think that'll be good. So that's it. I appreciate you all. Again, you have my phone number, you have my email. Reach out to me. I'm here for you. And we'll see you guys next time. I will set up another event for the networking thing, and then we got a couple more things to spear up. So even though we're winding down 1 more month, it doesn't mean that it's ending. It doesn't mean that we're going to stop. So we're going to keep on going. That's it. We'll see you guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye. See you later.